Welcome to another edition of Talk to Me. And now, here is Emmy himself, 8-time Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist, Maynard Eaton.
Hello again. I'm Maynard Eaton. This is Talk to Me, our weekly discussion with leaders, influencers, newsmakers in the arts, in business, in education, and politics. Tonight, we're talking about politics, and with one of the most veteran politicians in the city of Atlanta and DeKalb County, who's created a little controversy, a little stir of late, when he endorsed President Trump. Welcome to Representative Vernon Jones. How are you, sir? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing fine, Maynard. Thank you for letting me come on your show and have a conversation between you and me and your listeners. And, you have a lifelong history in Atlanta and politics and journalism, I should say. And you're one of the best of the best. So I'm honored to be on your show. I really am.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me coming from you. But I got to ask you, Say what, sir?
I said, you've known me since I was a puppy. Now you call me a veteran.
That's right. Well, let people know that you served 8 years in the Georgia legislature, then 8 years as DeKalb County's chief executive officer, and now the last 4 years back in the state legislature. But you made national news in the end of May, April, I'm saying, when you decided to verbally, publicly endorse President Trump. Why that announcement?
Well, first of all, it's pretty clear. Two things when I come to mind about Donald Trump. Strong leadership, and he gets results. And you want to add a third in there. He does what he says he's going to do, which politicians don't normally do that. Now, we agree with him or not, but what he campaigned on is what he's worked on. And so I can appreciate and value that.
Why this time? Why now? You've been a moderate Democrat throughout your career. Why this announcement now? Why seemingly going toward the Republican Party?
Well, Maynard, you and I both have come from conservative families and work hard, and that's what we were taught. And the only thing we want from the government is just to get out of our way so we can live and provide for our families, and at the same time, be fiscally responsible and those conservative values, faith-based. And so I never left the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. They have become so far to the left with radical ideas. And they're just out of touch with mainstream Americans. And, more importantly, or I should say maybe specifically, they've gotten to the point, Maynard, where illegals are put before African Americans and the rest of the country, actually. But as an African American, when I see them spend more time on wanting to give resources to illegals, and many of them who come here are gang members and drug dealers, they get sanctuary from a lot of cities, even when they commit crimes. And you see, the Democratic Party not wanting to be able to have them deported for violent crimes. But the most dedicated and loyal block of voters in the Democratic Party has always, at least the past 60 years, have been the black vote. And so when you see the black vote no longer being valued, as a matter of fact, they feel the Democratic Party feels as though it's a captive audience, that they don't have to earn our vote or they don't have to work hard for our vote. And, when you look at what they've done, their policies have been very hurtful to the African American community. And I'll give you an example. It was Joe Biden, a Democrat, who helped write and shepherd the crime bill through Congress. Many Democrats voted for it. As a matter of fact, that President Clinton had at that time twisted a lot of the African American congresspersons to get them to sign it. And that bill passed. Well, what happened? They incarcerated masses and masses of African Americans to the point where judges obviously had no discretion, but spending 20, 30, 40 years in jail for first offense, nonviolent, that didn't make any sense. Talking about separating families, the Democratic Party didn't care about black families being separated, and they still don't care about black families being separated. There's no sanctuary for them. And I give an example, Maynard. You take a black mother here whose child is in a failing school, right here in Atlanta, right here in Georgia, right here in America, and she lies about her address just to get her child in a performance school. That mother will get, if she gets caught, she gets in more trouble than an illegal coming to this country. Where's the sanctuary or school for her and her child? You know, that's something just wrong about that. And so the Democratic Party is being run by plantation owners. And those blacks who don't stand up and speak about it, they're plantation workers.
Representative Jones, though, your sudden decision, your endorsement of President Trump, surprised many of your colleagues and your constituents. And as a result, you've been applauded by some, but you've gotten pushback by many others. What's been the reaction you think from your decision?
Well, here's the bigotry in it. When Zell Miller was the governor of Georgia, Democratic governor, went on became the United States Senator, not only did he endorse a Republican president, but he spoke at a Republican National Convention. The Democratic Party didn't censor him. The Democratic Party didn't call him an embarrassment. The Democratic Party did not call him out the way that they called me out. That's because it's okay for white men to be independent thinkers, but black men cannot be independent thinkers. The only difference, for the most part, between me and Zell Miller is the color of our eyes. Our backgrounds are very similar. We grew up in rural areas. We worked hard. And, you know, we were able to be public servants. Obviously, I'm not saying we're identical, but we have a lot of things in common in terms of our background. Our parents didn't come from a whole lot, and so we're self-made people. But why is it that when an African American thinks independently, something's wrong with it? And I'll give another example. When they call Reagan Democrats vote Republican, they're elevated. But when an African American vote Republican, he is browbeat, and those totalitarian liberals are the ones who get African Americans. They recruit agent provocateurs to attack free African American, free thinking, and independent African Americans. And so I just don't subscribe to that. I told them they can have their suite on that plantation, turn the light out, rent it out to somebody else. I'm gone.
Representative Jones, I have friends who are black Republicans like Corey Ruth, and Leo Smith, and Bruce Lavelle, Michael Murphy, Dr. Deborah Honeycutt, Shelley Winter, and many others. But are they a few, or do you think there are many more black Republicans who don't come out like yourself?
Well, see, first of all, it's bigger than the Republican Party or Democratic Party. It's about African Americans having an independent thought. It's about African Americans who have conservative leanings, not having room in the Democratic Party. They have room for all these other groups, whether you're illegal immigrant or from the LGBTQ community and other special interest groups. But when Biden was saved in South Carolina, they didn't say those groups were the ones who gave him the votes to get where he is now. It was the African-American vote. But isn't it ironic, though? Here's the ironic thing. Joe Biden literally was a part of genocide, if you will, for thousands of black men and women too. What makes blacks run to him and still vote for him? On the other hand, Donald Trump came in office in just 3.5 years, and Joe Biden been in about, 44 years. But Donald Trump comes in and does criminal justice reform, passes the First Step Act, and let thousands of those same black men out of jail that Joe Biden had put in jail. Donald Trump, who did not go to HBCU, he's not black, but he understood the importance of historical black colleges and universities. And when the previous administration made cuts to those budgets, Donald Trump comes along, he restored those monies, but at the same time, he does what no other president has ever done. He actually wrote it into law where those colleges do not have to come year in and year out and beg to try to get dollars in the federal budget. Planned Parenthood is in the federal budget, at least it was, written in the budget. But why aren't historical black?
To my understanding, though, I teach at Clark Atlanta. To my understanding, they've not received that money. I could be wrong. Well, they got plenty of headlines for that. I don't know if they've actually received the money. Do you?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know their budget cycle. When funds are made available, there's a process you go through. So I don't know where that is in the process. I can tell you this: it passed. It was created as a law, and they're written into the budget. Now, again, we've had some strange things happen with this last pandemic, with this pandemic going on. So, the federal government runs on a different. They don't run on a fiscal year. Their year goes from around June to June. But the fact of it is a law now, and they have to recognize that law. You can trace the money, but I can tell you this: that wasn't the case before, and that's the case now. And so another thing, and no other president has done that. And then let's look at opportunity zone districts. This president passed opportunity zone districts where you and I both know there are many areas, like over by the stadium, the Bluff, for example. Those areas and others, now investors can go in, invest, get tax breaks, including African Americans who are business people as well. But those communities are getting badly needed dollars for infrastructure improvements, for revitalization, also new housing, and among other types of redevelopments to bring those neighborhoods back where they should be, because those people deserve a quality community as well. And that's what Donald Trump has done. Now, every time I ask someone, tell me what Joe Biden has done for black people, can't nobody come up with anything. When I bring up, well, wait a minute, I can tell you what he did. Did you know he wrote the crime bill and put all those black people in jail? Well, Trump just giving people crumbs just to get their vote. Well, you're right. Don't you like that when somebody give you something to get your vote versus someone just getting your vote and giving you nothing but time in prison? It's just logical,
Representative Jones, I've heard many black folks who say, I'm a conservative, I can vote Republican, but they're just totally against Donald Trump and his self-grandizement. I mean, do you see a difference between blacks who support Republican ideals and those who may or may not support Donald Trump? Or have all Republicans become Republicans now?
Well, let me say this, Mayor. Lester Maddox, you remember him, hired the first black senator. Was very influential, with Senator Leroy Johnson becoming the first state senator that chaired the Judiciary Committee. I don't know any other since then, maybe you do. Also, black people on the draft board. Now, he was a known in many circles a racist, but he actually did things for black people that Jimmy Carter didn't do. Jimmy Carter was liked, but if you look at Jimmy Carter's background, Jimmy Carter was just as much, some would say, some have called him, his background was checkered when it came to race relations until he got ready to run for president. I'd rather have Donald Trump being called a racist by the liberal news media who laughed at him because they said he couldn't get elected. I'd rather have him doing stuff with black people than Joe Biden, where the liberals and all those other groups are not going through his background and his past on things he's done, not being held accountable, including his recent situation with the young lady with those accusations. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent. As a matter of fact, the presumption is you're innocent until proven guilty. I know what accusations can be like, and people can make accusations, but how he was treated, how he's being treated versus Kavanaugh is two different things. And so, but still, give me Donald Trump. Joe Biden, I believe he's a nice man. But it kind of reminds me of a famous coach. They were losing to another team, and he said, put Doug in. And somebody looked at the coach and said, Coach, Doug has been gone 10 years. So when you look at Joe Biden, I think Joe Biden has missed his window of opportunity. And at this time, we need a bold leader. We need a man in that office that can stand up to foreign countries and demand to be treated fairly. Yes, I believe in putting America first. Can you imagine building schools and roads and bridges and airports for other countries, and ours are crumbling right here? Can you imagine giving resources, more than our fair share, to these various world organizations, but really that they're not necessarily our friends? But we give more than our fair share. They haven't been held accountable. The tariffs. For the first time, we have a president that's saying to China, no more, you're not going to get away with that. We have a president who went to Mexico and Canada and said, no, we're going to level this playing field. And so that's important. This economy was humming prior to this pandemic. This president is a businessman. He understands the economics. He understands Wall Street. He understands global business. And that's what I like about this president. No other president has been able to have a grasp like he had. Most of them just been government federal employees all their lives. They never met a payroll. This man has had to make a payroll. When someone said, well, his business failed. Well, that's thing of it. It is. That's the entrepreneur spirit. Businesses will fail. However, he didn't stop. He didn't fail. It made his business fail, but he continued to work. So that's everyday America. How many of us have businesses have lost our businesses? How many are losing their businesses now because of this pandemic? Some are going to come back and some will never come back. But I admire that entrepreneur spirit. That's what America's about.
But why make this decision, this endorsement, in the midst of your campaign? You were running for re-election. Why the timing now? Did you think it was going to help your campaign? I doubt that. Or was it you just ran out with Democrats had to say something?
Well, man, you know me. I've been working for my district, people, all people, for the past 30 years. I have a solid record of accomplishments. I've never been afraid to make a decision. Didn't care about the liberal media. They won't talk about my record because they can't challenge my record. So they make it about personality. And that's what they're doing about President Trump. It's about his personality. They completely overlook his record. That's why a lot of Black Americans right now aren't informed what President Trump has done for them, because the media always want to call him a racist. But you go to those corporate boardrooms and you look at the media, the lineup of their senior management, you can see who's a racist and who's not the racist. And so they're to me, I made my decision mainly based on this. I had planned on returning. I knew I was going to get elected. People know I was going to get elected. This person, others before, that's not the issue because of my record. But when I came out for this president, no, actually, when I was in the legislature just before we turned out, or we recessed, I should say, and there was a situation where I signed a bill, and that bill was, I co-sponsored a bill that all violent crimes committed by illegals, that the police department must return or must notify ICE so they can be deported. Not a person that's caught by a driver's license, but I'm talking about a person that's raped somebody, murdered someone, has shot someone. Yes, there should be no sanctuary cities for them. I commanded a very large police department, one of the largest in the state of Georgia. I've seen some crimes, and I've seen the victims and their families. And I don't think someone who's legally in this city or this state commit a crime of that type should remain in this country. They should be deported. And my colleagues, they jumped on me about it. And then, every time I make a vote or take a vote about something that's not within the far left wing of the party, then all of a sudden, I don't fit in. Why? Why can't I be like Jim Marshall and John Barrow? They were conservatives, represent majority Democratic district, majority Black, actually, of the Democratic Party votes. But you know what? They got a pass by the party. They never supported Obama's agenda. As a matter of fact, most of the time they voted Republican. But what did the Democratic Party say? Oh, well, they're in leaning districts, so we give them a pass. Well, let's elect a Republican that leans our way. That's the way of thinking. But no, a Black man cannot have an independent thought with conservative leanings. And so that, and I remember being challenged by a person who was transgender. I don't mind that. That's their lifestyle. I have no problem with that. But when he tried to take issue with me because I supported that bill to deport those type of criminals that are illegal, with that type of those violent crimes, and he said to me, how could he believe I would do that? And I don't share the Democratic Party's values. And he and I were just like him, me being Black, he being transgender. I just had to say, hold it, partner, wait a minute. There's no way in the world I'm going to let you do what some others, including Obama, have allowed you to do, is compare gay rights and civil rights. They're not the same. You have choices based on how you feel.
Right.
But man, you and I are Black from cradle to grave. We can't make those choices. We can't be Black at 8 o'clock and white at 9 o'clock and then Black again at 12 o'clock. We can't be that way. And so there is a difference between being gay and being Black. Now, again, I'm for equality for everybody. The Constitution guarantees that. I don't have a problem with that. And I'll fight for anybody's rights under the Constitution. But in the Democratic Party, going to make the head of the party going to send out a press release chastising me and saying that I need to come and meet with the party chair and the chair of of that community, of that caucus, the LGBTQ caucus. For what? For believing, like a lot of my constituents believe, I'm representing my constituents, that they support me signing that bill. To continue to be attacked because I don't vote with those liberal, far left, radical, socialist members of our party. No, that's why I said the party left me. I didn't leave the party. Can you imagine John F. Kennedy being a part of that party now? Can you imagine Zell Miller being a part of that party now, or Sam Nunn being a part of that party now? No, that's not. That's the party's gone too far left. Come back. And so, to me, after being that, I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and I'll step down. I won't complete my term. And I decided not to complete my term. And because all the backlash, I'm saying, okay, fine. I've served my time. I have a solid record of public service. And then when I started getting all of that support, not only from my district, but across the state and across the country, Maynard, it was overwhelming. Far more than I had people against me. Far more. Republicans, Democrats, black, white, older, younger, saying they appreciate me standing up for my conviction and what I believe in. You know what, man? I put my country before my party, and that's the problem right now. Politicians put their parties before their country. Nancy Pelosi is out of control. There's nothing that the president can bring through without them opposing it. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. Even legislation that they opposed, they supported when the Democrat was in the White House. Now all of a sudden, this president can have the same legislation, and they want to fight. All the time they wasted on impeachment. Man, let's talk about this too. That's part of it too. The Democratic Party has been silent on what the FBI has done to people of this country, and what they did to this president when he was a candidate and then elect, and then as president. Where the FBI is taking things in their own hand, they determine who's going to be president, who's not going to be president. They're going to target people. They're going to lie to the FISA court, and the Democratic Party has been praising the FBI. And you know what? Black people have been saying to the FBI years and years and years, going back to J. Edgar Hoover, how they do us, how they break the law, how, their behavior. But now, those chickens have come home to roost, and they're still not calling out the FBI.
I think you're good, man. I have to disagree with you on that one. But let me ask you this. Has this decision, this endorsement, catapulted you to national profile, national fame now? Or have you been built out in many circles? What's happened with Vernon Jones because of the decision?
What happened to Vernon Jones? What now? I'm sorry?
Because of that endorsement. Has it upped your profile? Or
man, you know what? Let's back up a little bit. Blacks have done this before me. Hosea Williams endorsed who? Ronald Reagan, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
And black as he can be. Black, unbossed and unbought. Yeah, he got chastised too, but he didn't give a damn because he stood for what he believed in. He felt that president had done good for this country. Now, I have a history too. I voted for George Bush, didn't back off of it. And you know who tried to take me out for voting? Here's what's ironic. When I voted for George Bush, it came out when I was running for the United States Senate. And the Democratic Party locally, in the state and nationally, campaigned against me in that runoff. I had the most votes going into the runoff. But they didn't do that to Zell Miller. You see the difference? So this party has just been, again, a plantation party. The Democratic Party has been run by plantation owners. They really are. If slavery were to go back into place now, liberals would be the slave owners.
Wow. What's the future for Vernon Joe? How is it going to help you politically or as a businessman? Will you become a major player in the Republican Party now?
You know what, man? I really didn't know what was going to happen. For me, I endorsed the president because I felt like I could specifically point to what this president has done for African Americans.
You didn't do this. You didn't do this without planning. You're too strategic for that.
No. You know what? I was just fed up Man, I'm telling you, I was literally fed up because I felt the Democratic Party had gone too far. But Maynard, I mean, come on, look, here's what helped me make up my mind too. Look at the presidential debate, the Democratic presidential debate. All those candidates started out. You had 2 black United States senators, and you had a former black governor from Massachusetts. Look how the rules were set up where the black candidates could not even make the debates without even going to a primary where people could make their decisions. And look who was left on the stage toward the end. You had a little guy who was out of a little small town in Indiana. You had another guy who just a businessman. You had Bernie, and you had Joe Biden, Warren, and Klobuchar. Where were the black people? And then when it narrowed down some more, the Democratic Party changed the rules again to let Mike Bloomberg come in. And he went spreading money, and he was buying every vote he can buy around the country, buying every black person he could. And ironically, black people who knew him, and many were saying, wait a minute, they call him a racist. Now, if black people call him a racist, matter of fact, some white people were calling Bloomberg a racist because of what he said about throwing black and brown people up against the walls. But where was the outcry? Where was the outcry calling him a racist? How did he even get black votes? And Stacey Abrams was making appearances with, I understand he gave her some money for her group. But wait a minute, something's not right about that. You know, and so this same Democratic Party eliminated all. You remember when the debate came to Atlanta, and here's the big thing: coming to Atlanta, the Black Mecca, going to Tyler Perry Studios. Well, how many blacks are on the stage, and how many minutes or how many questions was geared towards the black agenda?
That's true. That's true.
It was geared towards immigration.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Know, what a slap in our face. And you know, here's what's interesting. Now Joe Biden, first of all, he made a decision that he was going to select a woman VP. Well, look what he just did to me and you, especially me, if you want to say qualifications, because I could be his vice president. I got far more credentials than most of the folks he's looking at right now. I've run a large city. I've been a large government. I've run the government. All right. I've had different agencies. I've run airports. I've run housing. I've run a lot of different agencies, a large police department. I know a lot of that, and been in the legislature and came from the private sector. But as a black man, I'm not being considered. So he didn't look for the best person for the job. Now he's looking for a woman. Now, what's interesting, Jim Clyburn lets it out. It's kind of interesting to use Jim Clyburn and say, oh, well, Stacey Abrams not likely to be his running mate. Oh, okay, so now they get a black man to release this. And now, are black people going to come back again and vote for him, or are they going to hold him accountable because he didn't select a black female to be his running mate? I guess that will be determined when he makes that decision. Now it's gone from, well, it's not so much about color, female, just female. So, those are tricks and tricks. And Diddy just came out, the rapper, and he's saying, look, he called out the Democratic Party and he called out Joe Biden and said, never again, you're going to just take our vote for granted. And at the same time, you're going to have our votes for free. As a matter of fact, he made it clear he will hold the black vote hostage, that they will not get them. He would do everything in his power. So why is he feeling that way? Is it because the Democratic Party has been providing for African Americans and he just want to make a big deal? Or he feels as though the Democratic Party does not represent the black agenda anymore? And under the 8 years of Barack Obama, what was the black agenda? Many would say that's the first time in a long time there was no agenda for black people at the White House.
I've heard that too. Yes, sir. I heard that many black folks just supported him because he was black and not necessarily for what he did for them. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. He failed. He had 3 nominations to the Supreme Court. I understand the last one, the Republicans held it up, but he had 2 nominations to the Supreme Court. His largest block of most dedicated voters is the black female. He couldn't find a black female judge He found a Hispanic one. He found a Jewish one. But we've had Jewish Supreme Court justices. We've never had a female ever. And that's the largest block of votes that voted for him. But he had an agenda for illegals. He had an agenda for all these other special interest groups. But what was the agenda for where did blacks really benefit other than seeing someone that has the appearance or their skin looks similar? What did blacks really get from those 8 years? I can compare clearly the 3.5 years with Donald Trump to the 8 years with Joe Biden and Obama. Black people got more under Donald Trump.
Compare for me Stacey Abrams and Governor Kemp. How would she be handling this pandemic? You think she'd be more popular than our current governor in handling this pandemic in the state of Georgia?
You know, here's what's interesting. First of all, the narrative was shaped that she almost beat the governor. Hold on. No, she was 50,000 votes away from getting into a runoff with the governor. You and I both know what happened when a runoff takes place. Traditionally, the black vote come back. So it could have been even wilder. And so there's the national liberal media for the first time has come to Georgia. What made them to come to Georgia? What was it so special about Stacey? Where's her record? I can't see major legislation that she passed when she was in the legislature. I can't see it. As a matter of fact, many of the Black Caucus members felt as though that she sold out with the Republicans.
Yeah, so, I've heard that too. Yeah.
You know, and so, well, wait a minute. So where is this coming from? That's that left group that's in the recruiting business. And they pour their money, they pour their resources in. Governor Kemp is as solid as Stone Mountain. Nobody's had to deal with this type of pandemic in our lifetime. But you know what? This governor has done a good job not only of appointing people of color to various positions that Democrats never appointed them to. And I'm talking about in the criminal justice system from district attorneys to judges. And that's important. This president, I should say this governor has really looked forward to a balanced budget and managing his resources, supplying those resources to agencies that need it. We still maintain a dual AAA credit rating. He's done some things. He hasn't been a show horse. He's really been a workhorse. And so with this pandemic, I like the fact that he realizes that one size doesn't fit all, meaning that he can come up with some basic standards, but he doesn't want to go too heavy-handed where some cities and counties where they're different, there's just a different environment and they don't have the same issues and the same challenges. So he's allowing them to have some leeway to sort of like, use your best judgment, but just kind of be mindful that this is very serious. And so this government has been good at tying into the various communities, keeping the legislators updated, the religious community updated. He's done a good job listening to the scientists and his public health officials. And so it's easy to criticize somebody.
Even President Trump thought he'd be over too soon. Even he kind of slapped him on the wrist. I mean, your guy, President Trump, said Kemp is maybe not doing the right thing. Well, now today, it's working. So he believes what he's done is right, but others still disagree with him.
Well, see, here's the deal. The president sits in one seat and our governor sits in another. I think they're both doing a good job striking a balance between public safety and saving lives and preventing deaths. At the same time, recognizing that, look, this economy, this tanking, government coffers will be paying for this for years to come. But there are a lot of people who want to go back to work. There's a lot of people who want to go back to work. There are a lot of things about this pandemic we didn't know, but people now understand through education how to be more careful, whether it's masks or hand sanitizers or not having more than 10 people in a place at the same time. So the American people, we hit rock bottom. Now we're starting to come back up in a very moderate way, moderate fashion. We can't just stay down. We got to get back up. And so I like the fact that the government and the president are emphasizing that.
Well, there you have it. That's Representative Vernon Jones and his passionate support and endorsement of President Trump. I'm Maynard Eaton. This has been Talk to Me. See you next week.